Hello, I'm Crimson. This is another Behind the Song. We're going to do Part of Me, which came out last October 2025. So we start with the first verse. Tainted with a callousness, a little girl in a yellow dress. He opened his arms to be her home. You can't miss what you never know. So, when you're hurt young, you just develop this kind of harshness that comes with it. And you think you can trust this person because they feel so safe. And you can never miss what you lost because you don't know what you lost. You have no idea what you lost because you can't miss what you don't know. Leading into the chorus, let the water wash away. Cold hard killer still remains. Apathetic and harsh I'll always be. Will this forever be a part of me? This really giving Lady Macbeth, not being able to like wash that blood off of her hands and them feeling stained. It's like no matter what, that cold, hard, apathetic, harsh part is always going to be here. And is that a forever thing? Like, is this forever going to be how it is? Which leads into verse 2. Molded by a love so cold, you receive when done what told, opened his arms to be her trap. Once ensnared, you can never go back. So, when you're molded by a love that's so unkind, so young, like, and you learn that it's, you do something and then you can get a reward. So it's a reward-based, like, completely ass backwards of what love should really be. And you find out that this is a trap. This whole thing has just been a trap because obviously it was a trap. And you can't get back. You can't get back to something that you didn't know you lost because you can never know what you don't know. So now you're just like aware that it's a trap, but you can't do anything about it. You're just molded by this love. Into the chorus. Let the water wash away. Cold hard killer still remains. Apathetic and harsh I'll always be. Will this forever be a part of me? I mean, I'm still washing it and I can't. This is just how it is. This is just how it's always going to be. It just feels like that's how it's always going to be, which then leads into the bridge. Will this devil always live in my head behind my eyes? I tell the truth. I sense the lies. I feel your love I still despise. No one can love a heart like mine. I mean, it's giving lobotomy. Like, I want it gone. And that's not like, it's like you tell the truth, but you can sense when somebody's lying now because you look out for it all the fucking time. And you just like, even if somebody gives you love, you just despise it because like you don't even believe it at that point because that's not love. That's not what you've learned love to be. So then you can't trust that is what love is. And how do you love someone like that? How do you love somebody that doesn't trust that you're giving love? How do you love somebody that can't trust real love, true love, because they don't know what love is? Going into the last, let the water wash away, cold hard killer still remains, memories embedded in the brain, enforcing this is how it stays. Apathetic and harsh I can be. Will this forever be a part of me? Will I ever truly be free? Will this forever be a part of me? Still can't wash it away. And like they're embedded in the brain. So your brain wants what's safe. Familiar, being safe. Not what is truly safe, not what's best. Just the safe it knows is familiar. So whatever is familiar, that's what it wants. And so it just feels like you're just in this circle and you're just going around in this circle because your brain is always gonna fight to get the same type of love that you know you don't want to be a part of, but you can't get it you gotta like work through that. This is that work they call healing. Because it just feels like no matter what you do, your brain's fighting against you. And all you want to do is just not be so harsh and apathetic and cold. But it just feels like that's how it's always going to be. Because it's so hard to like grow from that. And like, how do you become something that you, I mean, if you can't know what you don't know, how do you even become something you don't know? It's really stepping into the unknown to try to, it's a grief of that, essentially. It's like, is that forever just going to be how this feels? So it's not a happy song, but it is a necessary song. And it's just, it ends tainted with a callousness, a little girl in a yellow dress. He opened his arms to be her home. Once ensnared, you can never go. I mean, it really ends just sitting there thinking like, everything got messed up. And it's so easy to look in retrospect and be like, yeah, don't go in the door. But you can't do that. So then you're just left with the realization of what you've now lost, now that you know what you could have had, but still feeling like you can never get that to change. It's like, at the end of the day, this whole song is, how do I accept love? So anyway, thanks for listening.